Hello! Today we'll create this colorful text reveal with glowy particles. It doesn't require any third-party plugins. All the particles are pre-rendered. In the project zip file, you'll find tons of particle footage, so you'll be able to create your own combinations. Let's begin! Let's create a new composition and call it Particles Title. Add a new null object and call it Control. As always, we'll stack all the scene color controls and other settings there. I'll turn it off and label it orange. Add a color control to the control layer. This will be for the background color. I'll set it to something dark bluish. Create a new solid and call it Background. Add a fill effect. Alt-click on the color stopwatch. Select the control layer and link the color parameter to the background color control. I'll also set the background layer label color to cyan. Labeling your layers is always good for the composition readability. Next, let's work with the text. Add another color control to the control layer. Let's use an almost white color for the text. Create a text layer and type something. Add a fill effect. And link it to the corresponding color control, just as we did with the background. Select the control layer and add a slider control. This will be for the text glow. Select the text layer and add a drop shadow effect. Put it before the fill effect and call it Glow 1. Set the direction to 180, distance to 0, and softness to 40. Alt-click on the opacity stopwatch and link it to the text glow control. Now duplicate the Glow 1 effect and set its softness to 250. With the selected text layer, press E twice to reveal the expressions and divide the Glow 2 opacity by 1.5. The second glow should be much softer and less visible than the first one. Select the control layer and set the text glow to 50. Add another slider control and call it Random Seed. We'll be using a fractal noise effect to reveal the text, so with the Random Seed control, we'll be able to get unique results every time. Duplicate the background layer and call it Matte. I'll also change its label. Delete the fill effect. Put the layer on top of our text and add fractal noise. Set the noise type to spline, contrast to 400, and complexity to 3. Expand the evolution options area. Alt-click on the Random Seed stopwatch and link it to the corresponding control on the control layer. Let's animate the fractal noise brightness. Change it to -170. Set a keyframe. Move 35 frames forward and set it to 170. Select the both keyframes and easy ease them for a more smooth animation. Select the text layer and set its track matte to Luma Matte. Now the text gets a cool organic reveal. Let's try changing the Random Seed slider. Looks good so far. The next step is adding a bit of a distortion to the text. Add another slider control to the control layer and call it Distortion. Select the text layer and add a turbulent displace effect. Set the size to 20 and displacement to turbulent smoother. Then alt-click on the evolution stopwatch and type this, value plus time times 350. With this time expression, the displacement evolution changes each frame automatically with no keyframes. Let's also link the Random Seed parameter to the corresponding control, just as we did with the fractal noise effect. Now go back to frame 0. Set the amount to 2 and set a keyframe. Go to frame 35 and set it to 0. Press U to reveal the keyframes. Select them and add Easy Ease. Next, go to the graph editor, select Edit Speed Graph, and adjust the curve a bit so that it gets more dynamic. Go back from the graph editor and alt-click on the amount stopwatch to reveal the expression area. Select the control layer, and in the expression area type value times, and then link to the distortion control. We do this to have a control over the animated amount parameter on the control layer without going to frame 0, getting inside the text layer and changing a single keyframe. Let's set it to 30. Let's even increase it a bit. Okay, looks good. Let's get down to the particles business. Add another color control to the control layer and call it Particles Color 1. Duplicate it twice and choose some vibrant colors. In the footage folder, I have around 30 various particle animations. I've also added them to the attached project folder, so make sure to check them out. Drag and drop a piece of footage to the timeline. I'll choose Reveal 10. Scale it down, rotate it a bit. And let's add some time remapping to the particles. Originally, they are looking pretty straightforward and boring. Enable the time remapping. Set a keyframe at frame 30 and move it to frame 15. Thus, we're making the first part of the animation faster and the ending slower, which looks more dynamic and interesting. The footage is at 60 frames per second, so don't worry about losing frames while slowing it down. Now let's get rid of the black background. Add a Shift Channels effect and set the Take Alpha from parameter to luminance to remove the black color. Next, add a Remove Color Matting effect to remove the black color fringes. Finally, set the blending mode to screen. Add a Fill effect and link to the Particle Color 1 control. Add another slider to the control layer and call it Particles Glow. We'll use the same drop shadow technique as we used with the text layer. Select the Particles layer, add a drop shadow effect. Put it before the fill effect and call it Glow 1. Set the direction to 180, distance to 0, and softness to 40. Now link the opacity parameter to Particles Glow control. Next, duplicate the Glow 1 effect, change the softness to 250, and divide its opacity value by 1.5. Let's set the Particles Glow to 70. Now let's add more particles. Duplicate the Particles layer, hold Alt and drag and drop another piece of footage to the timeline. Thus we get the exact copy of the Particles layer, but with another footage source. Press E twice to reveal the expressions and change Particles Color 1 to Particles Color 2 in the fill expression. Offset the new Particles layer, change its scale and positioning. Whatever works well for the scene. Duplicate the layer and replace its source with another piece of footage. Change its color expression and add any adjustments. Just like that. Let's add a couple more particle layers. They all have different particle sizes and motion styles, so they'll combine in a very dynamic and eye-catching reveal. Let's see how it looks. Great! Let's add some cool blur around the title. Duplicate the background layer and call it Blur Matte. Change its color label. Delete the fill effect and add a circle. Increase the radius and the feathering. Put it on the bottom of the layer stack and turn it off. Add another slider for the blur to the control layer. Create an adjustment layer on top of the particle layers and call it Blur. I'll also set its color to fuchsia. Add a camera lens blur effect. Set the blur map layer to our circle layer and change source to effects and masks. Invert the blur map and check the Repeat Edge Pixels checkbox. Alt-click on the blur radius stopwatch, link it to the blur control, and divide the result by 3. We don't need much blur, while it's more convenient to run through bigger values with the slider control. Let's set it to 20. Duplicate the blur layer and call it Aberrations. Remove the camera lens blur effect. Add a tint effect, and set the colors to fuchsia and cyan. Next, add an emboss effect. Set the direction to 90 degrees and contrast to 50. Then set the blending mode to hard light. Finally, add a motion tile effect before the rest of the effects. Turn on the mirror edges switch and increase the output width and height a bit to avoid artifacts on the edges. Let's add some final adjustments. Duplicate the aberrations layer, call it Adjustments. Set the blending mode back to normal and remove the effects. Add some blur, just a tiny bit. Then add a sharpen effect. This makes the overall look more contrast and crispy. Finally, let's add some noise. Let's see how it works. Looks great. You can easily change the text, the colors, and other settings. You can render hundreds of unique combinations with the particles footage included in the project folder. Mix them up as much as you wish. Probably add more color controls to make the scene even more colorful. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Thanks for watching and see you soon.